What's up, amigos, and welcome back to the podcast. Hey, as you can see, I'm just kidding. What's up, Sancho?
What's up, everybody?
How are you guys doing today? We are happy to have you guys back and be tuning in.
Yeah, what's up? I know. Feels good to be back in the studio.
Always does. But before anything, make sure you guys like, subscribe, share.
Also, make sure you hit that little bell over there to make sure that you get notifications every time we post a new podcast.
No, so as you can see today, we actually don't have a guest. It is going to be just your host and co-host, your Sancha and Sancho. So,
And on the way over here, we kind of started getting caught up in this conversation. So we thought that it may actually be a conversation that we should have on the podcast. So we were talking about basically the difference between expectations versus
the
reality.
Let's face it.
Yeah. So I feel like in a lot of cases, the expectation of what it really is kind of what sets you up for sometimes a trap for when it comes to reality. So I don't know. Do you want to just like talk about some examples or
Well, let me start with a book that I just finished reading. And let me tell you, if some of you are not really into reading, you guys definitely have to check this book out. It's by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Dynamite. I'm just kidding. Napoleon Hill. And it is, you see how I'm stalling to try to remember what the title is.
Did you actually read this book?
Yeah, but sometimes like you forget what the title is. It's really long title. That's why it's oh my gosh. Success habits for more health, wealth, and happiness. That's literally the title of the book, okay?
Dang, that is a long time.
Yes, it is quite of a long of a title, but it is a really good read. And basically, it just kind of just talks about life in general and how our mindset kind of gets to a point where you either be successful.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Well, I haven't read that book. You've been kind of hogging it for a while, so maybe now it'll be my turn. So yeah, but honestly, I feel like that can go across many different aspects of life. Like, for example, like work life, right? Like if you set up the expectation of what the job is gonna be like, and then it's a little bit different,
Right.
and the reality is a little bit different, then I feel like everybody falls into this trap, and then you start to hate your job.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that expectation versus reality, right? How do we set the expectation up for what it really is? Like, there's always a bigger story behind what's really going on, But how much do you think it is that it is mindset? Do you think a lot of it is mindset, or do you think a lot of it is like your skill set, or do you think a lot of it more is like timing, or
What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. But in general, I feel like it applies a little bit of both. I think it's mentally and physically. And I feel like you definitely have to have like your mind right to kind of get you to maybe like the goals that you want to accomplish or to even think of goals, right? To begin with. But then I think like when you start creating these goals and start realizing like or discovering these different ways to kind of manifest these things towards you. I know for me, for a really long time, I mean, like, I've been introduced somewhat to into like the law of attraction, but I feel like that's all pretty similar to just belief in general. It doesn't matter what you believe in. It just comes down to that one and only thing. But then you start realizing that you can start visualizing the life that you want, or maybe visualizing the dream job you've ever wanted, or just the goals that you want to accomplish, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like that's where a lot of people just get stuck because,
Yeah, I can see that.
because now you're just really into that whole manifestation part. And now you're like reading all these books. looking up all these like motivational like speeches and these motivational people and stuff like that. And, they're all saying the exact same thing, which is visualize, write them down, write down your goals, do this, do that to be able to make it into reality. But I think that's where you also have to meet the middle of putting in the work.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you said that.
I feel like it took me a minute to
Yeah.
get there, but you know what?
Yeah. I see what you're saying. It does seem like it really is that simple. Like everybody talks about like, oh, you just need to write down your goals. And once you write down your goals, it's going to happen. Or it's like, oh, you just need to believe it. And as soon as you believe it, it'll come true. And I mean, I get it, but it all just seems like magical, like, and I get that.
And I've been through that. I definitely experienced that. And I think, recently it's been more about what you can do to actually push yourself to make that into reality, like literally like in your hands or physically, I mean.
I feel like for a while I've kind of really focused on like, it's not really, I mean, I do believe that mindset is definitely key. Like, for example, the other day I was listening to a podcast. It's like a real estate podcast, and they were talking about what
you weren't listening to the Sancha and Sancho podcast?
Well, actually, I'd already listened to all the episodes, 3 or 4 times already. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should give these other podcasts a chance.
We're definitely supporters for sure.
No, I was listening to this other podcast, and what they were arguing was they were saying that it's 90% mentality and 10% skill. So, I mean, I get it. I feel like that's a really good argument. I don't know if I agree with that. Because I feel like mindset is kind of like the building block of it, right? I feel like it's almost like you plant the seed and then everything kind of goes from there. You just kind of build on it from there. Sometimes you don't, but it's not just that. Like it's always like you have to work on not only your mindset, for sure. That's the start, but the biggest part is trying to work on putting yourself into a position that can get you to where you're trying to be, whether it's like
right, like a step
goal
closer,
or whatever it is,
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, it's just never going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's where you get stuck, and you just like keep wanting to like manifest that like towards you, but you're not really like putting in the work. You're not like doing your end.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think definitely it's about, doing both. And I think the only reason why we just wanted to kind of talk about this is just because, I don't know, again, that's just something that we've been through, and
like
that's just something that we've discovered recently.
Right. Like, for example, like in our case, like we have the vision board that we've had in our room for, 2 years now, maybe?
And in case if you guys don't know what a vision board is, a vision board is basically a board that you get, and you just pretty much like print out either pictures, or you write down like words or, whatever you want in life. So for example, it could be something that might be like short term. Usually that's something that would actually be recommended, but you could also put your long term, like full out like goals on there as well too. Like there can be different types of vision boards that are out there. But if you're wanting to like complete something that's, like within next year, like let's say you want a new car, right? You can write that down. You can print out pictures of like what kind of car you want, what color do you want it in. And that's simply just kind of like a reminder to yourself. I feel like that, like you wake up every morning, you see that on your wall and you're like, yes, that's right. Got to stay focused. That's my goal. So whatever you're going through, in that day, or you can rely on that and you can look and be like, okay, I'm focusing like.
And the reason why I brought it up is because I feel like we need to update it. I feel like it's hidden. We don't have it in a good spot. I feel like I don't look at it all the time, which definitely kind of defeats the purpose, I feel like we need to redo it. I feel like it's kind of just time.
I just noticed actually that this is definitely not planned, like at all.
Why are you drinking my soda?
I just got a little thirsty.
Sure, you can have some. You're welcome.
By the way, do you guys know where his shirt is from? If you guys know, let us know in the comments right now.
I don't even know if you can see it. Yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, honestly though, I feel like this is a topic that we can definitely talk about forever. But if you need a little push as far as like, or maybe you're feeling a little bit lost and you're like, okay, like where do I even start with just like goals in general, or how to even go about them? Man, there's a lot of things you can do. Reading, that vision board.
Uh huh. Like, for example, if we talk about us getting into our house, like our first house, yeah, for a long time, I mean, who doesn't want their own place? You know? I mean, I remember the first time we moved out, we got our first apartment. Like it's like one of the most amazing feelings ever. It's like getting your first car and driving your car for your first time by yourself.
Yeah, such an amazing feeling.
Yeah, you can't replace these feelings. So I mean, I get it. So for a long time, we talked about getting our own place. Having our own house, and for a long time we talked about how we were going to get there, and we would try to plan it out and all these things, and we were imagining it and trying to dream it, but like until we literally started making the step to work on our credit, and then after we felt like our credit was going to get there, we knew that it was going to take a while to get there, like a couple of years. We're like, okay, well, not only let's work on our credit for a couple of years, let's also start saving and putting money aside, and let's also pay down our debt, and let's make sure that when we're ready and that when our credit's ready, that we have no debt, or like the least amount of debt as possible, and let's save even more money than we need, so that way after we move into the house that we're not going to be broke. These are all the things that we thought of, and it wasn't just like the imagination part. Like obviously that was the first part, and I feel like that was really important, but once we started actually putting in the work and making the steps to make these things happen. And I understand, like, sometimes it's not that easy either. It's not like, okay, well, now let's like plan out our dreams. Let's plan out our goals. Let's write it down. Like, it's not that easy either. Like, timing definitely was everything.
Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
I'd gotten the new job, and the job definitely is what helped us do everything. Like, we pay down our debt. We started saving up the money. Like, everything else just started to work out from there,
But then I think that's like the key about putting yourself out there, because everything else will fall into place somehow.
It's
somehow
weird.
It will work out.
And I
But
think
you just got to put in the work. You got to like meet in the middle.
Do you think that's what it is? It's like the manifestation, or like the ask and you shall receive, or it's kind of all different.
I love
versions.
this quote by Steve Harvey. Actually, I don't know if he made it up or not. I'm not sure, but I heard it from him. And he goes, "You have not
like what?
Because you ask not."
Okay.
That's just so powerful, I feel like.
It's literally just like you ask and you shall receive kind of thing from the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the half of it, like that's the start of it.
Right.
So, but do you think that's really what it is? Like, there's something about it. Like, we try to put ourselves in a position to get into a spot where we could afford a house, and like we could make it happen, or we had the money to make it happen, or the credit and all those things. Like, and that's just one example. Like, we could talk about getting a car, or starting this podcast, or we could talk about like anything really, anything that we've accomplished. Mindset, I think, is key. Do you think that it's everything?
It's definitely, it's a huge, like, it plays a huge role in your life for sure. Because I feel like if you're not mentally healthy, it's too hard to be able to focus on possibly the positive, or, your dreams or goals, or to be able to think to that extent, because you're too distracted with whatever you might be going through. So
even that too, honestly, I feel like that makes it hard too. Like, if you have a job that you don't like, I'm not saying that that's my situation, just to be clear, but I mean, I feel like if you have a job that you don't like,
I mean, we've all been there.
right? If it starts with that, right? You hate your job, you're gonna come home unhappy. You're gonna start doing other things. It just makes everything
like
else trickle down from there. Yeah,
right. But then it becomes a cycle though, because now, and that's like the huge thing about, nothing wrong with working full-time jobs.
right.
But if you want a little bit more out of yourself, if you're wanting to open up that business of yours, if you're wanting to,
I was reading this book, and honestly, I feel like it was either Dale Carnegie or Napoleon Hill. Kind of those same kind of vibes. But basically, what they were arguing, and I don't remember the name of the book, but basically they were arguing. I didn't really read it; it was Audible, so maybe that's why I don't know the title. Just to be clear, but what they were arguing is get really good at your job, but don't get too good at your job because that's going to distract you and make you too comfortable. And I feel like that's kind of our key is like you don't want to be too comfortable because if you're too comfortable, then everything else kind of just gets into like too much of a flow and you get distracted with life and you kind of wake up when it's too late kind of deal. But they were arguing that like don't get too good at your job. But I feel like I don't know if that's a good argument either because I feel like all the highlights that we've had, I feel like comes from me trying harder at my job and I feel like everything else gets easier. Like there's something about like having success, like finding success, right? Like doing really great. Like if you look at the people that are doing really well in this world, right? They're trying to be the best at their job, whether they're comedians. They're trying to be a really good comedian, right? And then everything else kind of falls into plate. Like you can't half-ass anything. Like if you do like a poor job at like your day job and then you're trying to start a business on the side,
Right.
like you can't give half effort in your full-time job and give 100% effort to the other job because you're still going to have the same kind of traits. Like you're just going to be putting off the same kind of things. Does that make sense?
In a way. But then I can see how your full focus is your business if that's the case.
Okay.
Because like you don't want to, just like what you're saying, you don't want to fully focus on your job because then that distracts you from other things.
Right.
So
It's almost like finding a pace, like pacing yourself. Is that what you're saying? Is that a better argument?
yeah, I think.
Don't give 100% at your full-time job so that way
But
you still have enough juice to give
yeah,
basically as much effort as you can into whatever you're trying to do.
yeah,
on
because
the
it's
side.
almost like going into a second job. Like
It
you're
definitely-
you're
it's-
literally going into another job right there,
Yeah, it's hard. It's like you clock out of work and then you got to clock in for something else. Like it's just,
and it's something for yourself.
yeah,
And that's the thing is like where it can become really tricky because it's easy to be like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow or I'll just do it later. I want a break right now
yeah,
because you just worked a full-time job and then, but that's the thing though. It's like nobody's telling you what to do. Nobody's telling you like, hey, you got to clock in. Hey, that's all on yourself. And
honestly, I feel like this is completely off topic. I feel like that's why I wanted to join the military so bad because I feel like I needed that discipline, because there's something about like that routine and like the just like the strict regimen of like
just like
a livelihood. Yeah, I feel like that's really
self-discipline.
powerful. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it is something, especially like I don't know. Do I have a laborious job? I don't know if I call it laborious, but I mean I'm working, man. Like you're outside. I'm out in the elements, and it's tiring to come home, come and do other things. But it's like I don't want to just do that. Like I want to do more things. So then do I do another job where I'm like working in an office? And it's like no, not really, because that's also mentally like straining. So you can't really win. Right? I mean, you can win. Obviously, there's people out there doing it and they are winners, but it's not easy. I feel like at the end of the day, like it feels like it's hard, but that's where it comes in. Like that's where the mentality comes in because you just push through it and you just make it happen. And the ones that push through it and the ones that make it happen are obviously the ones that find success. Even if it's success and failure, like that's okay too. But that's the hard part. So maybe mentality is like really hard. Like maybe that is really the factor. I don't know if I would say 90-10.
I would definitely say that the mentality part of things is
Huge.
probably one of the toughest things that you can overcome and be able to change because you're so used to your own ways. You're so used to like, just thinking one certain way. But then once you find out that you can like pretty much retrain your brain, retrain your mind,
That's a good way
to
to
kind of get it like rewired as far as like how to rethink, how to view life, how to accomplish goals.
And that's funny that I feel like when we started talking about this, we talked about, or you brought up like a book that you just read, which I feel like is pretty funny because I don't know, maybe if I don't know if it's age, like that we're getting older. I mean, obviously we're still really young, but I feel like it is because of books, which is kind of weird. I feel super cheesy saying that all the time, but like,
Honestly, though, you can't. That's like written scriptures from somebody who's already lived it.
it's like this, right? Like we started this because we kind of wanted to get perspectives from other people's examples of their lives. That's all books are.
Yeah.
Well, not basically all of them, right? Most of them. But I
I
mean,
mean,
it's just all
obviously,
just
yeah, there's like,
examples.
yeah, I mean, obviously, there's like different like types of books, like
Right, right.
whether it's fiction or nonfiction. But, if we're thinking about like,
If you just want to
finding
learn,
success
right,
or finding that happiness or whatever that
or
case might be.
learning from somebody's failures, right?
Right.
Like it's all there. It's all written down. It's documented for anybody. Like, I don't know.
But what I loved the most about the book that I read, which I'm sorry, I keep bragging about it, but in the end of the book, I don't want to spoil it. You guys definitely have to check it out. Definitely read it, and it's going to change your life. But I love how in the end, he does talk about sharing this knowledge with the people, with anybody, really.
I feel like that's a lot of things, though. That's how the monk who sold his Ferrari. That's basically one of the things in that book too. It's like I've learned all these things, and what's the purpose if nobody else knows this kind of deal? So it's like maybe that's also a part of it. That's also my purpose is to go out and to teach these things. It's like being a preacher or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I get that, but I feel like that's natural. That's for anything. Otherwise, how does it get passed down? And I feel like to me that makes sense. Well, I guess if we haven't said it enough, just read. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, or and maybe you're not looking for it, and I don't know. It discovers you anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think you like just discover more about yourself, if anything. But that's like really important because I guess to be able to accomplish anything, you have to know who you are and what you want.
Yeah, that's a problem. I don't. Yeah. How do you know who you are?
By doing things out of your comfort zone.
Or just doing the things that you like, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, but then how do you know what you like if you've never done it before?
So try new things.
Try new things. Skydive. If you don't like it, now you know that you don't like skydiving.
Yeah. I mean, in some cases, I feel like that's a good way to do it. In some cases, I feel like that's probably a really bad way to do it.
I'm like, okay, well, if you're thinking of bad influences,
Well, I just feel like there's definitely a lot of things that I know that I'm not going to like. So I'm
like
not
what?
even going to go down that road.
Like
You know?
what?
I'll never bungee jump.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to do that. I've
Okay,
skydived.
but that's like a lot. That's like a definitely a difference. That's like going above and beyond. I'm really upset that I forgot my book. Really
Here's
wanted to show that
I got a
to you
question
guys.
for you. What do you do? Is there anything that you do in particular to try to stay positive?
Uh, there's a lot of things I do. I feel like. I think it comes down to routine
Okay.
and what you do every single morning. For me, mornings are the ones where it's going to set either it's going to be a productive day or it's not going to be a productive day. But usually what I try to do to stay positive though is most of the time I control my thoughts.
Okay.
I constantly know what I'm thinking about. And the moment I start thinking of something kind of negative, I first have to realize that I'm thinking those thoughts and put a stop to it and then be like, stop, like, and try to think of something, that is completely opposite or things that I might be grateful for just to like change that thinking in my mind, right? But I feel like also with that, it's being surrounded like people you love. I think that's pretty important to have. And meditating, whether it's yoga or maybe it's like working out. Just that for yourself time is pretty important. But all in all, I feel like there's a bunch of things that you can go about it. But all in all, I think routine and kind of like having something down. So for example, for me, I feel like I'm just rambling right now, but for me, it's I wake up and honestly, I listen to affirmations in the morning.
Okay.
I listen to affirmations, and that just automatically sets the mood for me. And then after I do that for a couple of minutes to kind of like wake up, I don't go on social media. I don't even turn on my phone, nothing. Like I try to avoid that as much as I can. And then I start thinking about my goals. I start thinking about what I want to accomplish. Because for me, that is giving me like purpose in life where I'm just not like so lost. Because if you're lost, then you might start feeling or thinking negative thoughts because now you're just wondering. You're like, why am I here? Or like, what's, you know what I mean? Like you start wondering all these questions. But if you kind of find out more of like who you are, what you want, and you start focusing on those things, then automatically that positivity kind of attracts to you because it's what that saying is like attracts like. Is that how they say it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it all just kind of comes down to that, to be honest. What about you?
Yeah. You hit it spot on. I don't know if I would explain it that way, but I feel like that's perfect. Yeah. Routine is like, I feel like what it is. For me, I definitely hate mornings, but getting up, early as frick in the mornings, like 4 days a week to go and do jits, like, I feel like that's kind of good for me. Like you said, going to the gym. We used to go to the gym in the afternoon all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for me, getting it done in the morning kind of sets my day up.
Okay. Like you did something productive.
Yeah, it feels good to do things really early in the morning, even though it feels really horrible at the same time. It's like my mind's telling me yes, my body's telling me yes, but my mind's telling me no. Like,
My body's telling me.
yeah,
Oh, wait, no. My mind is telling me.
yeah, yep.
But my body.
Yep, exactly.
We're probably going to cut that out.
No, we're leaving that in there.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, no, it's hard, but I feel like I need that sometimes. That kind of brings me back down to like a zen kind of place. So,
Yeah.
but routine also, I feel like, is kind of what makes it hard sometimes. Like I feel like you need to switch it up. You need to have days that kind of like throw you off.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, I think you can't be like too custom of like what you're doing because then sometimes that might not be work. Like that might not work.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes like a month goes by and I'm like, God, like what happened?
Right. Like you almost like just kind of like zone down. You're like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, like
this, like where did May go?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it just feels wild.
Yeah,
So
seriously.
sometimes I feel like routine kind of kicks me in the butt too. So I don't know.
But then that's
I'm
what's
still
so
trying to
crazy.
figure it out.
It's like, how do people find the time to do absolutely everything?
Yeah,
Like literally, please tell me.
yeah, but I need to
Because,
I need help.
if it comes down to keeping up with the house, right?
Yeah.
Keeping up with, just
chores.
chores, having a nice clean, home.
Yeah, that takes a lot of
Not
work.
only, being able to have like your self time, focusing on your goals maybe and hanging out with family, doing
Yeah.
all of these things. But then as I'm like saying this, I feel like maybe it just kind of comes down to time management maybe. Cause like if you
Fair.
say like you wake up early to kind of get something done and get it out of the way, that's something you don't have to do in the afternoon.
Yeah. I feel like that's normally why I don't feel guilty when we don't go to the gym.
Oh,
Because I
because
feel
you
like-
get your workout in, but I don't. So I get all angry.
But I
I'm
also
just
have
kidding.
to get up at like 5 a.m. while I'm up driving with cheesy eye to go freaking strangle people. Like it's hard, man. It is a choice, I rather would sleep. I love my sleep. So
I also kind of want to touch base more upon like the affirmations that I kind of do, and the reason behind that is because affirmations almost sets a tone for yourself. Like there's always sayings that, you could look yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm confident. I am happy. I am, you know what I mean? Whatever positive affirmations that you want to say. But I think it's like almost like tricking your mind that you're almost believing in that, not almost, that you believe in those things, but then you're training your mind to kind of go to that extent. So whenever you start thinking about possibly goals or these things or these big dreams or aspirations, you're already training your mind how to have those affirmations to begin with, because somebody else is like, telling you how to say them. And then you start applying those to your own life.
Okay. Here, okay. I think I could branch off of that. I'm not really like I don't do affirmations. That's not really I don't know.
Okay, so like how do you get through?
So for me, I feel like it's something very similar. And I'm going to go back to, again, I don't know what freaking book this was, but it was talking about, and I think about these examples sometimes. And if you think about it, I feel like it's actually kind of crazy. So if you think about like when a guy is trying to get with a girl, right? There's something
Okay.
about like the hormones and just getting all worked up, and like your mentality is so focused. It is so pinpointed on, one thing. The guy's going to do whatever he can to try to, do that one thing, right? I feel like that sounds really naughty, but I'm not like trying to be naughty, but it's like literally there's something about like that drive, right? But if you take that drive and put it into other things, like for example,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Right now, I really want to get another vehicle, right? So I am, on like my free time, whenever that is, right? Whether I'm laying down in bed, whether I'm sitting on the couch for 5 minutes and I just have a couple minutes to myself or whatever, right? I'm on my phone and I'm looking at cars. I'm looking at vehicles, the specific ones that I'm trying to get, and I'm like super focused and I'm thinking about it all the time. I feel like when I do these things eventually come to fruition, right? And it's like that with a lot of things. Like we did that with this podcast. Like you get into the zone and you're like, it's almost like you get into like this giddy phase of like being so obsessed with it. It's like for me, I look at like reviews. Like if I'm going to buy something on Amazon, I go crazy like looking at reviews and I compare it with other products and I try to find out which one's better and which one's, what am I getting the most bang for my buck on what price and on this one. And you just get like super, super focused on it. I feel like if you do that with other things in life, I feel like
You can definitely accomplish them.
you can accomplish so many things.
Mm-hmm.
So
So I
yeah,
think
I
all
don't
in
really-
all is what we're trying to get to is maybe like what we do and what we try to, or what we've learned can kind of branch off to you guys. And maybe if there's something that you guys do differently, let us know.
yeah.
I
I think it's crazy that me and you are very similar, but we like have very different like
ways of being.
ways of doing things. Yeah. Yeah, literally. Like ways of like our mentality of being like that. But I feel like it's very similar.
Yeah, but I think that's where we kind of meet in the middle though, because I feel like I'm definitely the big dreamer, the big like I'm a visualizer.
Okay, yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
more of the right now, like how can we get there?
Okay. Yeah, okay. I like that. I don't know if you're gonna talk smack about me.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally
that's not a smacking. That's like just different ways
Yeah,
of
no, that is perfect.
implementing.
And I think that's why it works so well.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need both of it.
You,
Like
you do, because again, if you're too focused on just the visualization, sometimes you need to realize that you also need to put in the work as well too, and kind of realize like how can you get there. Like sometimes you can't just visualize the entire time.
yeah, it's definitely the why and the how. All right.
But then sometimes you can't worry too much about the how, because somehow
Oh, then you get
it
caught up in
all
like
works
that.
out.
Yeah, because then you get caught up in like that analysis paralysis kind of thing, right?
Mm.
Yeah, and you just end up in that little loop,
And the little Fruit Loop.
Fruit Loop. You just call me a Fruit Loop? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, all in all, that's all that we have for you guys.
I guess it does make me feel better. When I came into this conversation, I definitely wanted to argue against like mentality being a big thing, but I guess it is bigger than what I was originally thinking. It is huge. It is huge because you need like a good mental to kind of push you through a lot of things. I feel like having a good mental or wherever your mentality is kind of like the starting point of a lot of things. So I don't know. I guess it makes sense. But you also, I mean, it's so important. I feel like you really need to focus also on like putting yourself into a position to where you can do the things that you were trying to accomplish. Like, and that's not easy either. But the reality of it is like if you're willing to put the time in, or if you're willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do, like nothing can stop you. Like it's gonna
And
happen.
in this day and age, we have resources everywhere, whether it's online or maybe our upper peers, whatever it is, we definitely have resources everywhere. And, there really shouldn't be excuses to be able to,
Yeah, I was gonna say
you
that.
know, get you to where you want. And thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, amigos.